Believe it or not, there are copywriters in the ad briefings world who have never sold a copywriting assignment. They use copywriting in their job, they use copywriting in their day-to-day business, but they've never been paid by a client to write copy. Let's change that. Hi, this is Justin Hitt from Ad Briefings Copywriting Tips. I'm going to be reading from my special report, Prove Your Copy Ability. If you've not gotten a copy of this, it is program I0621A, and we talk specifically how to get that first copywriting assignment. I know you're making big dollars using words that sell, but now you want to expand the income streams. You want to gain additional value in the marketplace and leverage in order to prove that your copy is good so you can move between careers, you can move between assignments, and ultimately come out to be a marketing agency or an independent marketing professional. Now, more often, you haven't sold a copywriting assignment, not because you don't have copywriting skills, it's because you haven't gone direct to someone who can hire you. So if you work in an agency, you're probably writing different types of copy every day, and it's kind of a collaborative writing activity. And in the end, the project's the result of a team. It's not necessarily the result of your own work. And you may have a limited level of confidence in your ability to write an assignment that you would deliver on your own. That's okay. We're going to put that behind you, and you're going to start getting more copywriting assignments so that whether it's sideline or you're asking for additional responsibilities, maybe a new account within the business that you're in. Now, there's a number of freelance copywriters that are freelance copywriters in name only. Now, I'm not saying this to be insulting. I'm not saying this to put you down. You do have copywriting skills, but perhaps you don't have the confidence to go out and get your first copywriting assignment. Maybe you've tried and you've had frustrations and obstacles. Let's eliminate those obstacles. Now, very often when you're going to get copywriting assignments, there are some common recommendations that have value, but not the results that we're looking for in getting new copywriting assignments. So some people recommend rewriting advertisements and then submitting them to the company that wrote them and then saying, hey, if you like what I've sent you, go ahead and hire me. Well, there's a big problem with this is that you're working for free. You're rewriting someone else's control. You don't even know if it's a control. And then you're submitting it unsolicited. And they didn't ask for it, but now they've got it. So they might as well use it if they think it's useful or extract elements. You really haven't started that relationship that's necessary to turn a prospect into a client. But it is useful to rewrite known working sales letters so that you can get a familiarity with the pacing and the activity. It's just I don't recommend sending a revised version to the person and pretty much doing work for free. A lot of folks recommend doing spec pieces. So larger agencies will send out a notice and they'll say, hey, here's the specifications. Copywriters will write it. They'll submit it to the agency. That really only works for the agency. So the agency is now getting 10, 15 different spec pieces, and they're basically these copywriters have done the homework for them. So if you've been submitting spec pieces and you haven't got good results with that, understand that that's a mechanism designed to get drafts on the table at the marketing agency, and then one of their lead copywriters will just finish the drafts and they'll submit it as free work. It saves them thousands and thousands of dollars a year. So that's not the best thing to do. Now, if you get the opportunity to write spec within a program, so an internship, a copy cub program, or you're writing spec work within an agency, that's a different story because there is some relationship already and there's some potential to learn from the feedback of your spec work. But again, that's not how you get copywriting assignments. That's not how you get $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 copywriting assignments. And now also, when I say copywriting assignments, I mean any kind of assignment that is specialized wording. So a lot of what I do is regulatory compliance documentation. Okay, so it's technical writing. I also do executive communications, so persuasive communications that are going to be presented from an executive. So they need to be fact-based. It might be a few excerpts they're going to use on a stockholders, shareholders meeting. It could be something for a congressional interview. But I also write copy for marketing campaigns, mostly my own marketing campaigns. Now, I want to be 100% transparent here because you got to be honest with yourself. Are you comfortable with what you're doing? And that's why you don't have copywriting assignments that are independent, direct to you, high margin activities. Or are you simply just afraid that the additional work that comes with having clients? So you might be working for an agency and enjoy the agency because they do all the client work for you. Unfortunately, you have very limited upside mobility, and there are frustrations with maybe writing something different all the time rather than writing in your passion. Now, there could be a challenge with writing in your passion because that niche, that audience that you'd be writing for is so small that there aren't any people to hire you to write copy for it. So there are some balances here. Now, we talk about that in the report, but I want to make sure that you understand that some of the things that you're being told to get that first assignment aren't designed for you to get your first assignment. It's designed to keep you on the hook. So there's a lot of folks that say join a marketplace and put up an advertisement. So join Fiverr, join a lot of these freelance boards. Now, you can get paid copywriting assignments in the freelance boards, but unless you live in the Philippines or you live in India, you will not earn enough money to pay the bills. According to MIT's cost of living calculator, a living wage with a single adult and a single child is $27 an hour. If you've got 2 adults or 2 children, that goes up to $32 per hour. If you're not clicking away at $32, $50, $60, $70 an hour, then you're not going to be able to earn the living that you need, and you will be frustrated. So not only do you need your first copywriting client, you need your second and your third, but you'll be shocked how few copywriting clients you need in a year when you do this the right way. You'll earn a significant amount of money. You'll be able to set aside for retirement. You'll be able to pay for health insurance, and then you'll have the opportunity to be more independent and flexible rather than working for somebody else. Now, I'm not telling you to get side jobs. I'm just saying side jobs are available, and if it works within your contract, you can certainly do that. Now, there's another piece of advice that folks give is that to write and send multi-step campaigns to set appointments. Now, the challenges with that is that if you don't know who you want as a copywriting client or a marketing client, then who do you send the letters to? And if you don't know how to set the appointment and get somebody on the phone who's paid you to speak with you, so this is your discovery call, this is your initial consultation. It's very easy to get people to call you on the phone, and I got hundreds of hours of video where I've interviewed people as part of the newsletter. So what I did is when people wanted to just pick my brain, I said, well, great, you can interview me for my newsletter. And then I gave them 45 minutes to interview me, and then the last 15 minutes or so, I'm asking them questions. So the first 45 minutes becomes a podcast where somebody's interviewing me about how to approach a certain market or what to do with a certain amount of money that they have in a budget. I'm not getting paid for any of that, but I needed newsletter content that was showing actual real people, because I can't always talk about client assignments, writing in regulatory world, writing for strategic campaigns, writing executive communications. I can't always talk about that, but I can get a newsletter subscriber to interview me and therefore demonstrate my value there. Now, what's valuable here is as you get the statistics back for your podcast, for your blog post, you'll start seeing which of those topic areas have the highest amount of interest, and that can help you narrow down. There's nothing wrong with a multi-step campaign to set an appointment, kind of like Dan Kennedy's magnetic marketing, where you're sending out letters, offering a special report, and then part of that special report and part of that letter is to set a paid appointment. You ultimately can do that, but again, who's the right people? Now, here's the most idiotic advice people give about getting your first copywriting assignment. They say to ask your friends and family for referrals. Now, I don't know about you, but my family doesn't know anybody who's hiring copywriters. And if I said that to them, they wouldn't know what a copywriter is. And that's a challenge in our world because we can combine subject matter expertise with the ability to communicate, and we can get technical writing jobs, we can get marketing jobs. If you have subject matter expertise and the ability to persuade, see, there's two differences here. See, a press release is to communicate. A lead generation piece or a sales letter is to modify behavior, which is a persuasion activity. And so asking your friends and family, unless they're corporate executives, is basically a slow road to being a pest. Okay? They're going to get tired of hearing from you, oh, how's the copywriting business? Has anybody protected their trademark lately? Do you see how that works? People don't understand. They don't know. Unless you're in a marketing family, it's not really going to happen. Another piece of advice, and I'm going to wrap this up, is that to stalk decision makers on LinkedIn, social media, and other websites. Now, if this wasn't the most asinine thing invented by a social media platform, I would have put it earlier in the list. But the reason LinkedIn exists is not for you to get copywriting assignments. In fact, it's a giant database that sells data to what used to be called InfoUSA. It sells data into an advertising platform, which is Microsoft's advertising platform. It is a means of tagging and segmenting audiences. So when they talk about the millions of people on LinkedIn, that's the size of the business mailing list that Microsoft has to offer Microsoft products and services. Now, if you don't understand that, that's okay. It might be new to you, but these social media platforms are marketing databases. They're not intending for you to get assignments. Now, does that mean that you can't get a copywriting assignment through LinkedIn? Yes, you can get copywriting assignments through LinkedIn. You can find recruiters. You can find people who hire for contract. However, it's more like begging. If you're on LinkedIn begging for assignments, doing the AIDA and getting their interest, getting them to raise their hand, getting them onto a report, that's one thing because you can put paid advertising behind that. But if you're out there doing direct messages to people or having someone do direct messages to people, it's not the most productive thing. In fact, it feeds their system, and it would be better to go ahead and just use their system. Do a paid advertisement on that platform. Drive to a landing page. Capture the opt-in. Follow up with the opt-in with an offer to do some kind of a transaction, some kind of paid assignment, discovery call, whatever's important. But you want to build your list, not build the social media platforms list, not build LinkedIn's list, not build some message board's list. This is very important to understand. So when I go through this report, I give you a system that's designed on using copywriting skills to get copywriting assignments and creating evidence that you can convert or modify the behavior of a specific audience while you're gathering research about which companies hire marketers. See, it's a three-prong approach. The audience that you'll be writing to persuade, the people who hire copywriting, and the ultimate, there's some revenue generated in this. Now, ultimately, if you're working for somebody else, if you're already a freelance copywriter, I almost want to put an expiration date on your, quote, first assignment. I'm doing air quotes right now. Because if you got one assignment a year, that's great. It's an excellent place to start, but it's not going to pay your bills. You need to have a new assignment every 3 months, a new assignment every month, something that's building up a queue of regularly paying customers or regularly paying copywriting clients. That's not going to happen following the mainstream public information type of approach. Even creating your own blog and then driving people with paid advertising to your blog isn't necessarily going to be able to prove you can write copy to convert a different audience. So I'll leave you with this last example. If you write a book and it becomes a best-selling book, that doesn't really demonstrate your ability to do what's in the book. It only demonstrates your ability to sell books. Now, people will confuse the two, and they will think because you sold a large number of books that you must know the topic that's in the book. That a lot of people fall for that. But the truth of it is, unless you're building a mailing list selling that book and then following up with the individuals on that list, then you really don't have the traction to get the attraction necessary to get clients. So I know I'm talking about your first copywriting assignment, but if that first assignment was months ago, or it's the deal that got you the contract or the job you're working on right now, I want you to make sure you've got your second, your third, your fourth, your backlog of copywriting assignments, because that's how you generate a large amount of revenue. And that means you must demonstrate your ability to write copy in a meaningful way with leverage. That leverage is having a customer list that copywriting client wants to reach. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. I hope you got that key point, because your first, your second, your third copywriting assignment is systematic. I can show you how. Be sure to write in with your questions. But if you're following the mainstream advice on how to do it, you're going to keep struggling. It's just because most of the people who write the advice that's out there in the mainstream are speculating. They haven't actually done anything. For the last 9 years, I've net more than $1 million doing technical writing, doing executive communications, writing copy for businesses. Now, have these all been independent contracts? No. I've been an employee. I've had 1099. I've had, direct sale. It doesn't matter. Those are multiple streams of income to me. The key is I've been able to generate results using this simple approach that I'll share in the report. And by the way, if you want a copy of the report, you send me an email and you ask about, give me a good question. I'm sure this program didn't cover everything, but you want to ask about prove your copyability. It's program I0621A. So when you write in with your questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Again, I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. If you've got questions, visit me at www.adbriefing.co.uk, where we help copywriters, marketers, and business development professionals get a maximum number of clients with a minimum amount of out-of-pocket expense and inputs so that you can have a viable copywriting career. You can have a viable marketing agency. You can have a viable business development consultancy. Thanks for listening.